In the noisy classroom, Morningen, who was sitting at the end of the class with a shaved head, woke up slowly. He opened his hazy eyes, but what came into his eyes was a familiar and unfamiliar picture hidden in the depths of his memory. In the bright and spacious classroom, the students took advantage of the gaps between classes, or the men and women helped each other for a class, or the men and women gathered together to discuss common interests and hobbies. There were also a few naughty people chasing and making trouble in the classroom, causing others to laugh for a while. This is student days? Shannon was stunned for a long time, and finally found a familiar face in the depths of his memory. Big Sister Zhang Min. Ban Hua Chen Xiu. And other students. Isn't this the class lineup of your high school's 3rd and 7th class? Strange, didn't you just take a nap in front of the computer while staying up late to code? How did you wake up and go back to the 3rd year of high school? With an unbelievable look, Shannon straightened up and grabbed Liu Gang's hand at the same table. In his doubtful eyes, he grabbed his palm with both hands and squeezed it hard. Oh, what's wrong with N's force? Liu Gang immediately withdrew his palm, and said angrily while shaking it. However, Shannon didn't pay attention to it, and just said firmly, "It seems to be true." What's the truth? You won't be so sleepy after watching the movie last night, right? Liu Gang shook his hand a few times and felt that the pain in his palm had eased, which made him feel better. I was going to study with the teachers on my phone tonight, but I almost missed Shannon. At this time, Shannon turned his head to look at the high school table mate in front of him. After looking at it for a long time, Shannon suddenly laughed out loud. Aberdeen, you are still so fat. Land Harbour? The 10 minutes between classes is very short. Before Lugong could say 2 words of national quintessence in the morning, he was interrupted by the rapid class bell. Although the students in class 3 and 7 of senior high school are only the second key class of the school, their discipline in class is not worse than that of the key class, so when the bell rang, all those who were exercising, playing games, and talking about ideals quietened down. Before the bell had stopped, a middle-aged man with a pot belly and short hair appeared outside the corridor. Why do I feel that Boss Cao has gained a little weight again? Liu Gang said softly, a voice only Shannon could hear clearly. Boss Cao and Liu Gang is the chemistry teacher in Chen An's class, whose name is Cao's Hejiang. Because he is less than 1.7 meters tall, has a big belly, and has a keychain around his waist, he walks swaggeringly and comes with a dingling dang jiao BGM, which doesn't look like a gentle teacher at all, so everyone secretly, he simply called him Boss Cao. Boss Cao came to the classroom and slammed a stack of test papers on the podium with a bang. We have the same grades. Let me tell you the truth, you are the worst class I have ever brought. Familiar opening remarks, familiar sour smell, familiar operation, familiar routine. Shannon is very kind, but the only thing missing is that the memory in his mind tells him that this time travel does not seem to be as simple as returning to high school, and now this world is more like a parallel world in Chen An's cognition. Just as Shannon was trying to dig out the extra memories in his mind, a mechanical sound suddenly came. The reality dungeon system is open, and a novice guide dungeon is being created. Copy is being created. The dungeon is established, the micro-dungeon chemistry classroom is officially opened, the main quest has been extracted, the side quest has been extracted. The dungeon has been created, please follow the novice's guide to complete the dungeon process. I wish you a happy dungeon. A series of prompt sounds in his mind made Shannon stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted. Isn't this the golden finger necessary for rebirth or transmigration? This thing is too familiar to Morningen, who writes novels and rushes to the street in front of the computer. However, the specific functions of the golden finger should be familiarized with the so-called novice guide. At the moment when the system prompts, Boss Cao has asked a few classmates close to the podium to distribute the chemistry simulation papers. Taking advantage of this neutral position, Shannon called up the system panel and set his eyes on the taskbar above. I saw that there were two quests in the taskbar, one was the main quest and the other was the side quest. Main task: solve the group's chemistry problems and survive the chemistry class. Must do: side quest: solve other group chemistry problems. The reward for clearing the treasure chest will increase by 10% for each group problem solved. Optional: note, in this copy, violence and threats should be used with caution. If you use it without authorization, you will be responsible for the consequences. The main quest and side quests don't seem to be that difficult. It is worthy of being a guide copy, it is simple. In addition to the task bar, Channon quickly noticed his own attribute bar. Clicking on the attribute bar, Chen's attributes were brought into view. Name: Good Morning Level, 0 Title, None Experience, 0/10 Blood, 6/0 Physique, 6 Strength, 6 Agility, 6 Spirit, 7 Charm, 5 Lucky, 1 Note. Charisma and Luck are hidden attributes, and the rest of the basic attributes will have a full value of 10 when they are adults. Potential points: 0 Achievement Point, 0 Gold, 0 Skills, High School Physics, High School Chemistry, High School Mathematics, High School Biology, High School History, Junior High School Chinese, Junior High School English. Props: none. In addition to the task bar and attribute bar, Channon also found the character's equipment bar, title storage bar, and the system store in a dark state. At first glance, the system in front of you is not complicated, and the functions above are relatively simple. Just when Channon was familiar with his system, Boss CAO had already finished his opening chapter. The following is a summary discussion by each group for 20 minutes, pay attention to control the volume, and don't disturb the class next door. Channon sighed inwardly. Listening to Boss CAO's chemistry class was good. It was not like math class. When you returned from a little distraction, it was like listening to a book from heaven. After Boss CAO's class was distracted, everyone was still discussing it. Notice: the boss chemistry teacher is lining up, and the dungeon mission has officially started. Please prepare accordingly. The system prompt sounded suddenly. At the same time, Channon discovered that a bright red name appeared on the top of Boss CAO's head. LV5 Chemistry Teacher, Leader, HP, 1000/1000 Skill : Note: the chemistry teacher of the 3rd and 7th class of senior high school has an absolute right to speak in the chemistry class. Please don't provoke the boss lightly, otherwise the consequences will be serious. Channon raised his brows. Only then did he realize that not only Boss CAO was marked as a boss, but also all the classmates around him were marked as monsters. Just like the dry port next to him, with a distinctive name on top of his head. LV1 Chemistry /HP, 20/20 Skill : Note: at the bottom of the chemistry class, you can be abused arbitrarily with your strength, please let it go. Looking at the first two female classmates, one of them is Zhang Min, who Channon remembers the most. At this moment, she has a title completely different from Lugong on her head. LV1 Chemical Worker HP, 40/40 Skill : Note: those who are absolutely loyal in chemistry class, but if they are not talented enough to learn chemistry, they will get twice the result with half the effort. Please start as appropriate. Channon looked at Gao Tianjin next to Zhang Min again. The good guy is also a LV1 chemistry model worker. I have to say that these female students are still very serious about their studies. Even if they get twice the results with less effort, they are still doing their best, unlike the Lugong next to them. Channon remembered that Lu Gang had to take out his mobile phone and put it in the high stack of books to peek at novels every time in chemistry class. Thinking that there are many such behaviors in the classroom, Channon glanced over and saw several chemistry scumbags sticking their hands under the table to operate secretly. Withdrawing her gaze, Channon focused her attention on the group members. Time to start the main quest. Main task: solve the group's chemistry problems and survive the chemistry class. Must do: looking at the prompt of the main mission, Shannon took out her test paper, placed the paper with 88 points in the center of the table, and then looked at the two chemist model workers who turned around in front of her. Brother Eng is amazing. You scored 88 on such a difficult chemistry test. I remember Mr. Cao said that the highest score in our class was only 91. Brother Eng's score is only one multiple choice question. Chemistry model worker Gao Tianjia couldn't help boasting after seeing Chen's exam papers. Zhang Min next to him also expressed the same emotion when he saw this. Only Lu Gang, who was at the table, glanced at Chen An's score and silently put his mobile phone in the middle of the book. For Lu Gang, chemistry is not much different from celestial books. Instead of wasting time reading celestial books, it is better to read novels for a while to heal the pain caused by scores. On the side, Shannon listened to the exclamations of the two girls and felt a little smug in her heart. After she left the school, she realized how pure the girls in the school were, especially this kind of girl who was devoted to her studies. Seeing the desire in the eyes of the two of them, Shannon smiled lightly, and the memory of the chemistry class flooded into his mind like a flood. Come on, bring out the topics you don't understand, and my brother will help you research. Zhang Min, who was sitting in front of Shannon, was very happy, and immediately pointed out the question that had a red cross on the test paper for a while, but couldn't figure out what was wrong. The chemical worker Zhang Min has marked you with a sight mark. During the marking period, please keep your sight away from the marked position, otherwise you will suffer continuous damage from the chemical worker. When Zhang Min turned around, Shannon didn't pay any attention to the red cross she pointed out. With Zhang Min's turn, his eyes instinctively glanced at a gentleman. Notice! Notice! Since you are not looking at the marker's location, you take continuous damage from the chemical worker. For 3 seconds, your current blood and blood 2, your current blood and blood 2, your current blood and blood 2. Hush! Shannon took a deep breath. Zhang Min's lethality was truly unstoppable. Fortunately, Shannon is not an unmanned child. As early as when he graduated and worked part-time, he and a few good buddies found a technician he liked. The glance at Zhang Min just now was purely out of heroic instinct. Fortunately, I just glanced at it, and the state of continuous depletion of blood also disappeared automatically after 3 seconds. Zhang Min didn't know what happened to Shannon in these few seconds, and she was still earnestly pointing out what she didn't understand. Brother Eng, look, this question suggests incombustible gas, which can burn magnesium bars after drying, so why is the oxygen I filled in wrong? Shannon looked at the questions pointed out by Zhang Min, and memories of these questions quickly emerged in his mind, as if he had just done this question yesterday, with clear steps and smooth thinking. You have to think about it like this. During Morning An's lecture, Zhang Min naturally pressed over to the desk, just to listen to Chen An's explanation more closely and attentively. It's a pity that it's only mid-March, and it's a cold day. Even if Zhang Min is lying on Chen An's table, she can't make any waves. However, out of instinct, Shannon glanced at Zhang Min again. Notice! Notice! Since you are not looking at the marker's location, you take continuous damage from the chemical worker. For 3 seconds, your current blood and blood 2, your current blood and blood 2, your current blood and blood 2, your uncle's. Also let no one brush a copy. Chen An's people are numb, he has lost 12 drops of blood in just 2 eyes, and his current blood is only 48 points. If he looks at it a few more times, it is estimated that he will die here with Zhang Min. No, how could a small guide copy die in it? What a shame for Nima. Shannon forcibly fixed his eyes on the test paper, and then finished the topic pointed out by Zhang Min as quickly as possible. When the question was finished, Shannon let out a long sigh of relief, because he found that the system prompt had finally disappeared. Good guy, the last little monster almost lost his life, this FB is a bit too difficult. I see. If it wasn't for Brother N's reminder, I really couldn't think of it. Thank you, Brother N. Zhang Min smiled and thanked him, then turned around happily and took notes. You deftly deflected the mark of chemical workers on you. And then? Morningen was a little stunned. Is it just to defuse a fart? Why is Zhongmin so bloody? How to kill monsters with a lot of blood? At this moment, the system's novice guide began to show corresponding prompts. If you want to cause damage to a monster, you must take the initiative to attack. The range and intensity of the damage caused are determined by the method you use. Friendly reminder, it is recommended to use mental damage in this copy, and use violence with caution. Morningen is a little uncomfortable. How can I get a copy without violence? However, this mental injury finally has some clues. Shannon looked at Zhongmin, who was taking notes with her back to her, thinking that if she rushed up and rubbed Zhongmin on the ground, would she be instantly killed by him? However, Good Morning is still unclear whether what happened in the copy will be diffracted into reality. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com or this copy is a real chemistry class. If he really did what he imagined, he would probably be on the news headlines tomorrow. Shock. A high school boy suddenly went mad in chemistry class and did such a thing to a female classmate in the front seat. Well, the system's prompt should be to prevent this from happening. Since you can't use physical violence, then use spiritual ones. Just as he was thinking about it, Zhongmin's deskmate Gao Tianjia also pushed over his test paper. Brother Ang, help me to look at this question, I can't figure it out. The chemical worker Gao Tianjia marked you with a sight mark. During the marking period, please keep your sight away from the marked position, otherwise you will suffer continuous damage from the chemical worker. The same mobs have the same attack method, the difference is that Gao Tianjia's threat is much smaller than Zhongmin. Morningen explained the topic to Gao Tianjia without looking sideways, and it went very smoothly. You deftly deflected the mark of chemical workers on you. After dissolving Gao Tianjia's mark, Shannon felt that he could no longer sit still like this, and he had to try to cause damage to Gao Tianjia. Thinking about it, Shannon suddenly spoke. Ajia, I'm a little hungry, please give me a pack of your snacks after class. Shannon smiled. Ah? All right, okay. Gao Tianjia agreed after a little hesitation. You relied on your cheeky skin to seize the snacks of the chemical worker Gao Tianjia, which made him very sad. His current blood is 21. Morningen's eyes lit up. The damage will not come. Gao Tianjia, who promised to give snacks, put away her heartache and turned around to take notes on the wrong questions. Seeing that Zhongmin and Gao Tianjia were both taking notes seriously, Shannon set his eyes on Liu Gang beside him. As the same seat, the chemistry achievements of Lugong and Shannon are almost complementary. Sometimes it is really strange how Liu Gang avoided all the correct answers and wrote down a chemical formula that Boss Cao had to read for a long time. However, these are not the most important things. The most important thing right now is to think of a way to kill the chemical scum of Lugong. Compared to the chemical worker's 40 HP, Lugong, who is a chemical scumbag, only has 20 HP. If this HP needs to be replaced by the damage Gao Tianjia took just now, it is estimated that he has already been killed instantly. In this matter, Liu Gang still lowered his head and looked at the gaps in the book with all his attention. He reached in from the bottom of the book and turned the pages of the e-book inside regularly. The teacher is here. Shannon whispered in Liu Gang's ear. Liu Gang's body trembled suddenly. Boom! The books piled high on the table were almost overturned by his thick legs. You used the natural enemy restraint relationship to frighten the chemical scum, and the chemical is currently Qi and blood 8. The terrified Liu Gang looked at the podium while holding down the book that was about to take off. When he saw Boss Cao sitting on the stage seriously and reading the test paper, he let out a sigh of relief, and then became annoyed. Unforced. You want to seek me again? Morningen smiled lightly. It's not that I want to seek you out. Aberdeen, don't say that your brother doesn't take care of you. You have more than 30 points in your role, and the college entrance examination is coming, you don't want to work hard. This. Liu Gang hesitated for a moment. In fact, he used to want to ask Shannon to ask questions through the group discussion, but Shannon was chatting to the two girls in the front row at the beginning of the discussion, and he didn't care about his tablemate at all. After a long time, Lu Gong would directly gave up treatment. "Aren't you discussing with Gao Tianjia and Zhang Min?" Liu Gang said, looking at the two female classmates who were turning around and busy correcting mistakes and taking notes. When Shannon heard the words, he immediately raised his face. "Aberdeen, what are you talking about? Brothers are like clothes, women are like hands, brothers are like siblings and women are like clothes. How could I let my siblings be left out in the cold just to protect my clothes? Come on, tell me what you don't understand, my brother will help you answer it." Liu Gang was a little moved, and hurriedly took out his test paper. "Hey, I don't know any of this. Good morning, Omega Omega, dry port, chemist scum threw half of his weapon at you in vain. Half a blank scroll, knowing is knowing, not knowing is not knowing, it is knowing. Simply giving up filling out the questions that you can't do will not only save time and pen and ink, but also avoid the illusion of expansion caused by filling up the test paper. This is the conclusion drawn by the scumbags after a long-term summary. It is very sensible, but please kill it. He. Good guy, good morning, good guy." When others ask one or two questions, they are a little timid, but this guy just threw out half a blank paper. But there is one thing to say, the big questions in the back of this guy Lu Gong are almost blank, but the multiple choice questions in front can get more than 30 points. It seems that his ancient magic spell of 3 short 1 long 1 choose the longest, it works really well. Don't worry about whether the questions are good or not. Copy the answers from my test paper to your test paper, and then take a good look at the textbook. If you don't understand, ask me again. Saying that, Shannon put her test paper in the position of the land port. Morningen originally thought that copying the test paper should be able to clear the remaining 12 points of chi and blood. In the end, he just handed over the test paper, and Liu Gang spoke again. "I don't understand if I just copy it or not, and how can I understand the knowledge points in the textbook? You should teach me directly. Chemist scum ignored your attack and wanted to take up your communication time with your female classmates. Please make your choice in time. Failure to answer after 5 seconds will automatically be regarded as acquiescence. 5. 4. I trademark. How can one chemistry be more difficult to deal with than 2 chemistry model workers?" Seeing Liu Gang's expression of "if you scare me and disturb me when I read a novel, I will slap you," Chen An's anger arises from his heart, and his evil turns to courage. Crack! Chen An's right hand patted Liu Gang's thigh. "What nonsense, don't force me to convince people with reason." Feeling the tightening hands on his thighs, Liu Gang's fat face shook. "Yes, let me copy the answer first. The chemical scum will have a psychological shadow on your deterrence. Its current blood is 14. Congratulations for killing the chemical scum, you get 2 experience points and 4 gold coins. Congratulations on your achievement, killing a monster for the first time. First time killing a monster, you killed the first little monster in your life. Congratulations on your first step in the dungeon. Congratulations on your achievement, 1. After seeing the monster icon displayed on the head of the landing port gradually fade away and finally disappear, Morning Heart was overjoyed. Focus on your own attribute panel, the experience value above has indeed become 2/10. The gold coins have also become 4, and there is an additional achievement point. At this time, Zhang Min has completed the correction and made notes. "Brother Ang, I still have 2 questions that I don't know, you teach me more." Zhang Min turned her head. "The chemical worker Zhang Min has marked you with a sight mark. During the marking period, you reading www.yuyuganshu.com, please keep your sight away from the marked position, otherwise you will suffer continuous damage from the chemical worker." Although Zhang Min's skill has no direct lethal ability, her own power is a bit excessive. Fortunately, Shannon had stabilized her eyes, stared at Jiang Min's test paper and began to explain the wrong questions to her. Under Chen An's explanation, Jiang Min soon became enlightened, and at the same time, she couldn't stop sighing. Brother Ang, you are so smart, you can think of this. You deftly deflected the mark of chemical workers on you. Chen An smiled slightly, it's just one more step. You can do it later as long as you remember this pattern. Yet. Thank you Ang. Jiang Min smiled and nodded, her originally white and tender face was a little red, as if inspired. By the way, Xiaoman, have you been eating supper lately? Chen An suddenly asked. Jiang Min was stunned for a moment, then shook her head and said, No, I went back to the dormitory after the evening self-study and went to bed. I didn't eat supper. Morning and nodded, so, why do I feel that your face seems to be a little rounder, and I thought you were eating late at night. Your out of nothing has accurately hit the key point of the chemical model worker Jiang Min, causing a fatal blow to her, and her current chi and blood 50. Congratulations for killing the chemical model worker, you get 4 experience points and 8 gold coins. Congratulations on your achievement, 1 hit kills 1 a hit kill, you skillfully caught the monster's weakness and dealt fatal damage to it. You did a good job. Don't do this next time. Congratulations on getting achievement points, 5 Ohu. 5 achievement points. Good morning's words were more effective than expected, Jiang Min looked like she was about to cry. Brethren, am I really fat? Jiang Min said, pinching her face. The word fat is definitely an untouchable red line for Jiang Min, who has a gully in his chest. Looking at Jiang Min with a flustered face, Chen An coughed twice. Actually, it's not obvious, and it looks more rounded and cute than before. I want to pinch it twice. Hearing this, Jiang Min's face turned red. Humph, you think beautifully. After speaking, he wrinkled his nose and turned to take notes. After Jiang Min, a chemical model worker, was killed, Gao Tianjia was left alone in the group. As long as you kill Gao Tianjia, a chemical model worker, you can try to do side quests in the remaining time. At this time, Gao Tianjia had already made notes and turned around. Brethren, take a look at this question. Gao Tianjia, a foodie, was still feeling heartache for the snacks Chen An asked for just now, for fear that Chen An would speak again shamelessly. Of course Chen An would not shamelessly ask for snacks for the second time. After solving Gao Tianjia's problem, he said. Aja, I'm going to the canteen to buy snacks later. Would you like me to bring you something to eat? Gao Tianjia's eyes lit up, what does brother An bring me? Super spicy hot sticks. Gao Tianjia, oh brother Ang, I can't eat spicy food for the past 2 days. Bring me something else. You accidentally discovered Gao Tianjia's weakness, and made a fixed point attack on his weakness. His current blood is 30. Congratulations for killing the chemical model worker, you get 4 experience points and 8 gold coins. Congratulations on your level improvement, you have gained 1 potential point. Please allocate it yourself. Chen An was taken aback by the system's prompt. He really didn't mean it. Heaven and earth conscience, Chen An really didn't know that Gao Tianjia was inconvenient these 2 days. He just wanted to use super spicy hot sticks to make Gao Tianjia flinch, but he didn't want to hit the spot with a crooked punch. Seeing that the title representing the monster on Gao Tianjia's head gradually disappeared, Chen An quickly repaired the relationship between Gao Tianjia and Gao Tianjia. Don't worry, Aja, I'll pour you a cup of hot water later. Gao Tianjia looked at Chen An eagerly, where's the snacks? Let's buy you a grilled sausage, I remember you like it. Chen An said. Thank you Ang. Gao Tianjia smiled sweetly. Brethren, as for me, I want to. Jiang Min, who was beside him, turned around and said. I'll give each of you 1. Chen An said with a smile. He, I just like to eat sausages that brother An bought. Jiang Min smiled and continued to take notes. At this moment, a pitiful voice came from the side. Brother Ang, I want to. But it was Liu Gang's servant who saw that there was something to eat and went straight to it. This can be said to be very realistic. When there is nothing to eat, it is Anbu, and when there is something to eat, it is Anj. Get up, the last time I stole my spicy sticks, I haven't settled the account with you, you still have the face to eat with me. Channon pushed Liu Gang, who had come together, with his shoulder. Cut, focus on over friends, don't ask me for new films in the future, I've cut my confession here. What did Brother Gang say? It's just a sausage. I'll buy you two, but you're not allowed to say anything about the film. Yi Chennon's adult soul was as embarrassed as it was to hear this kind of thing, and he decided to kill him in the future and not ask Liu Gang to ask for it. Anyway, I have quite a few resource sites in my head. After solving the members of his own group, Channon began to focus on other groups. But before that one point of potential is worth adding. Thinking about it, Channon opened her attribute panel. Name, Good Morning Grade 1 Title, None Experience, 0/20 Blood, 6/0 Physique, 6 Strength, 6 Agility, 6 Spirit, 8 Charm, 5 Lucky, 1 Potential Point, 1 Achievement Point, 6 Gold, 20 Skills, High School Physics, High School Chemistry, High School Mathematics, High School Biology, High School History, Junior High School Chinese, Junior High School English Props, none as a 3 good youth in the new era, adhering to the principle of all-round development. Of morality, intelligence, body, beauty, and labor, Channon decisively added 1 point of potential value to the spirit. In this way, staying up late to watch something and do something should not affect the study the next day. After adding 1 point of spiritual attributes, Channon only felt that his whole body was refreshed, and an unprecedented sense of clarity appeared in his mind. The effect is very obvious. At this moment, some vague memories in the past became clearer, and Channon also found that her senses seemed to have become more sensitive. This feeling is really cool. However, the feeling of being on top didn't last long. After a few minutes, the refreshing feeling in Channon's mind disappeared. Although the sense of refreshment has disappeared, Good Morning's memory and senses have indeed been improved to a certain extent. With this kind of improvement, I have more confidence in the next side quest morning. Just when Channon was about to go to the next group to fight monsters, Boss Cao, who was sitting on the top and kept reading the test paper, stood up. Students, it's almost time, we will talk about the remaining topics. Notice! Notice! The boss chemistry teacher has officially appeared, please prepare for it. Channon was stunned for a moment, only to realize that 20 minutes had passed before she knew it. Learning really makes people forget to eat and sleep. According to the order in Channon's memory, Boss Cao will focus on the typical wrong questions and problems he saw when sorting out the test papers. Reading www.yuyugonshu.com. Among the typical wrong questions, Boss Cao will ask students to take notes. As for difficult problems, most of the students in the class will not be able to do them. Therefore, Boss Cao will not go too deep into the problem, but will only gradually explain the problem-solving process. Explain. If there is a classmate who wants to explore the problem, you can go to him after class. All in all, Boss Cao values the overall improvement of the class, and he is more willing to meet individual needs after class. Of course, Boss Cao also has a hobby shared by most teachers, that is, calling a few of his favorite classmates to stand up and express their views during the lecture. At this time, the tense atmosphere in the class is no less than a public execution. Let's talk about the questions on the test paper. Boss Cao stood in front of the blackboard, holding a broken chalk in his hand. The first question is too simple, so I won't talk about it. The second question is also easy, so I won't talk about it. The third question is still simple. The seventh question, there are a lot of people wrong about this question, I'll talk about it here. Let's raise your hands to see which classmates have made a mistake in this question. A group of students below raised their hands. Shannon looked at Liu Gang strangely. He was actually right. The longer option of this question is obviously B. According to Liu Gang's ancient magic spell, the answer should be B, but the correct answer should be the shorter option. The D. Aberdeen, did you do this question yourself? Liu Gang gave a dry laugh. He knew the meaning of good morning. Did I say it was a typo? I was going to choose B, but it ended up being D. Morningen was speechless. No matter what. Miniature dungeon treasure chest. There is a chance to obtain it after clearing the small dungeon or miniature dungeon, and you can get certain rewards when you open it. When she got the mini dungeon treasure chest, Shannon found that the treasure chest had been automatically loaded into the system's inventory. Shannon didn't dare to open the treasure chest in his heart. If there were any strange special effects in the treasure chest, it would be troublesome. He decided to wait for a place where no one was there before opening the treasure chest. The chemistry class was officially over. CAO's Hejiang did not drag the get out of class uncontrollably like other teachers. When CAO's Hejiang left the classroom, Liu Gang, who was beside him, urged him. Brother Ang, go to the canteen to buy sausages now, I can't wait. Shannon wanted to think more about his system, but seeing Liu Gang was in such a hurry, he had to go to the canteen downstairs first. The canteen is located in a small house on the side of the teaching building, on the path leading to the canteen in each year. Generally speaking, business is prosperous only in the noon and evening. In other cases, it is rare for students to buy after class. After all, it only takes 10 minutes, so you can eat as much as you buy. Because Liu Gang had 2 shares, it was rare for him to go downstairs with Shannon. When I came to the canteen, there were really not many students in it. Shannon directly asked the boss for 5 sausages, 2 in Lugong, 1 in Zhongmin, 1 in Gaotianja, and the rest was his own. Just when Shannon bought the sausage and paid for it, the system's voice suddenly popped out a message box. Congratulations on your achievement, sausage lover, you bought 5 sausages at one time and no loan is required. Congratulations on getting achievement points. 2 Morningen was stunned. Can you get achievements outside of the dungeon? Since sausages are okay, are other products okay? But Shannon didn't try other products because his pocket money didn't allow him to try them for the time being. Today I bought the sausage for 10 yuan and I have spent my share today. If I spend more, I will have nothing to do but eat in the cafeteria tomorrow. Back in the classroom, Shannon gave Zhongmin and Gaotianja the warm sausages, and they both ate each one with relish. Brother Ang, your sausage is so delicious. Zhongmin said happily after taking a bite. Woo, it's delicious. Foodie Gaotianja almost put the whole sausage into his mouth, and he nodded in agreement when he heard Zhongmin's words. It's really fragrant. Shannon finished eating the sausages in his hand in 3 or 2 seconds, and then turned his attention to the system. On the way back, Shannon noticed a little change in the panel of the system. The previous property bar, task bar, and the like are still the same, but the system store is no longer dark but bright. Open the system store, most of the product display grids above are dim, only the first 3 grids are lit with 2 products. These 2 products are in the shape of small bottles, namely, Small Life Potion and Small Energy Potion. Morningen put her attention on the 2 medicines, and their properties were immediately revealed. Small Life Potion, it can be purchased when the level reaches LV1. After using it, it will restore 30 HP within 10 seconds. Small Energy Potion, it can be purchased when the level reaches LV1. After using it, 30 points of energy will be recovered within 10 seconds. This Small Life Potion is quite clear. After all, there is the existence of Qi and blood on Chen'an's attribute panel. But what is the energy mentioned in this Small Energy Potion? There is no energy column on the property panel. Does it mean mental state? Tired and tired, drink energy potion? In addition to this, Good Morning also got a message from the description of the medicine bottle. That is, the purchase restriction of goods in the mall should be lifted one by one according to the character level. Shannon, who is only at level 2, can only buy potions unlocked at level 1. If the level is improved, more goods should be unlocked. Before closing the store, Shannon looked at the price of the 2 bottles of medicine. Each bottle is 20 gold coins. With Shannon's current financial resources, he can buy 3 bottles of potions. I just don't know if this potion can be used by others after buying it. If it is possible, it will be very profitable. Of course, Shannon didn't mean to try it now. The things in the system are too dreamy for reality. He must keep it strictly confidential, and he can't easily show it to others. The 10 minutes between classes passed quickly, and the next class was Morning Good's most troublesome English class. For Good Morning, English class is almost the same as hypnosis class. If it weren't for the English teacher being a mature and beautiful female teacher. Just thinking about it, the English teacher has already walked in. Today's English teachers still dress stylishly and beautifully. Light makeup was painted on her delicate face, her upper body was a white turtleneck sweater with a black jacket over her, and 2 black silk straight calves were exposed under a black long skirt with hips. This dress is in sharp contrast with the young female classmates around, which makes many male classmates have indescribable thoughts about the English teacher. Except for Good Morning, of course. He is a righteous gentleman, before and now. For Shannon now, the English teacher on stage is not as attractive as the young female classmates around him. After all, he has seen too many mature women when he grows up. Today we are going to talk about the test papers of the first class exam. Have you all got the papers now? The English teacher said. UU reading www.uugonshu.com. A copy that can be opened is detected. Do you want to open it? The system prompt came. Shannon was stunned for a moment, and then found that the panel that jumped out of the system was marked with various information that could open the copy. Open copy, English classroom type of copy, micro copy dungeon is expected to drop, basic attribute points, mini dungeon treasure chest, small dungeon treasure chest achievement points required to activate, 5. It turns out that achievement points are used to open dungeons. Shannon looked at his achievement points. The first time he killed monsters, he got 1 point, the one-a-hit kill achievement gave him 5 points, and the sausage lover gave him 2 points, so now he has a total of 8 achievement points. With Shannon's current achievement point, he can completely open this dungeon, but after going through the chemistry class dungeon, Shannon felt that he should not be able to brush this dungeon. After all, English has always been his weak subject. Thinking about it, the thought of Good Morning fell on the no on the system panel. Soon, the pop-up window of the system disappeared, and the copy was not successfully opened. At this moment, the classmates around have taken out their English time. As early as between classes, the representative of the English class went to the office to get the English test paper and handed it out before class. This is much more active than the representatives of the chemistry class. Of course, it does not rule out the reason why the representatives of the chemistry class dare not enter the office of the senior officer. Morningen also took out her test paper, and the score column above it clearly stated a number, 75 for an English test with a total score of 150, the value of 75 can be said to be quite low. Shannon, who had lived a lifetime, looked at the test paper in his hand, and his head started to ache. But no matter how much my head hurts, I still have to go to class. In the past, when I was young and ignorant, I patronized the English teacher in English class, but now it is different. Now the teacher and the test paper don't want to read it. However, as the English teacher began to explain the test paper, Shannon suddenly found that the content of the English teacher seemed to be simpler. It's a straightforward expression. Previously, at number you in percent, and asterisk now, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and do. It's amazing to suddenly seem to have understood a little bit. It's almost obvious that English is almost forgotten. Even if I go back to high school and write my memoirs again, my English at this period is not very good, and I am in a state where I know most of the letters when I take them apart and put them together. In this case, being able to understand the English teacher's class is outrageous. Not only that, when Shannon tried to understand his mistake with the English teacher's explanation, he found that he understood his mistake very easily. The first question, I understand. The second question, I also understand. Question 3, I understand again. As long as one of the questions that you have made wrong is counted as one, as long as you follow the ideas explained by the English teacher and think about it, you can quickly understand. Before the change, Shannon couldn't keep up with the English teacher's rhythm at all. Shannon didn't understand why this happened. Just when he was puzzled, he suddenly thought of something. His eyes fell on his attribute panel, where the spirit reached 8. At level 1, Shannon added the potential points to her spirit. The boosting effect of this 1 point is actually so obvious. Thinking of this, Chen Xin suddenly felt an impulse. His potential value still has 1 point. If this 1 point is added to the spirit, will it be better understood? But Shannon didn't do this, because now he is no longer struggling to learn English. Even if his foundation is not very good, he is able to understand and keep up with the teacher and has the conditions to improve his grades. Next is just a good review. With the remaining 1 potential value, Shannon decides to save it and add it when it is useful. The time for the English class passed bit by bit, and Shannon was fascinated by listening to it, which made Lu Gang beside him shocked. Good morning, what's wrong with you today? You are actually listening to the English teacher's lecture. You were not like this before. Lu Gang came over and said softly. Good morning's appearance made him a little uneasy. In the past, he and Shannon were both English scumbags. Their biggest hobby in English class was to discuss whether the English teacher was dressed well today. As a result, Morningen actually started listening to the class seriously today. Is this the rhythm to abandon him? When Shannon heard Lu Gang's words, she curled her lips. What do you know? I used to be young, and now I know the joy of learning. This kind of feeling of seeing 1 question and knowing 1 question is really cool, especially in English. As the only weak subject of Morningen has never been so comfortable in English class. This is much more fun than watching an English teacher. Lu Gang suspected that he had heard the wrong thing, and wanted to reach out to touch Chen An's forehead, but Shannon slapped it off with a smack. Good morning, tell me what to pay attention to when doing the question I just said. The English teacher suddenly said. Obviously, the interaction between Shannon and Lu Gang was seen by the English teacher. But Shannon was not in a panic. He listened carefully when the English teacher taught, so he immediately stood up and answered the English teacher's question. Sit down, everyone. Remember, the crux of this question. The English teacher waved at Shannon and stopped pursuing it. Seeing Shannon answering the question so quickly, Lu Gang felt that his heart was bleeding. If things go on like this, he should be at the bottom of the next English test. The English class passed quickly after Chen An's serious study. This was the most comfortable English class that Shannon had ever had in her life. Only 1 attribute can have such an improvement. If you add a few more, wouldn't it be able to surpass the limit of the human body? Shannon remembered that the system marked the full value of the adult's basic attributes as 10, and his current mental attribute has reached 8, which is only 2 points away from the full value. If Shannon were a little more ruthless and added the remaining 1 potential value to his spirit, then he would be 1 point away from the limit. I just don't know what will happen when the spirit breaks through the limits of the human body. It is said that a genius and a lunatic are only 1 step away, and they cannot break through the limit and become mentally ill, right? The change brought about by 1 point of mental attribute is not only significant in English, but in the following classes, Morningen experienced the effect of this 1 point of attribute improvement. Too strong, those subjects that used to be not weak in morning security are now as simple as eating and drinking for him. And after studying in the morning, good morning spirit did not show any fatigue. If things go on like this, Shannon feels that her grades should be significantly improved during this period, especially in weak subjects like English and Chinese. When I was studying, time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, it was time for lunch. In order to take care of the senior 3 students, the school usually dismisses the senior year first, and then the senior 1 and sophomore turn. After class, LU gang dragged Shannon to the school cafeteria without saying a word. UU reading www.uugonshu.com. Running fast can save a lot of queuing time and eat the hottest and best dishes. After lunch, Shannon made an excuse to go back to the dormitory. In the 3rd year of senior high school, it is recommended to live on campus. Shannon's home is far away from the school, so he chose to live on campus since the 1st year of high school, and he has lived there for 3 years now. After saying hello to the dorm aunt downstairs, Shannon hurried to the bedroom, then turned on the light, closed the doors and windows, and closed the curtains. The dungeon treasure chest that I had been pinching all morning can finally be opened. With nervousness and excitement, Shannon took out the treasure chest from the inventory. When the treasure chest disappeared from the inventory, there was a quaint wooden box in front of Shannon. The color of the wooden box is darker, with strands of pale yellow texture on the border, which looks thick and delicate. With such a good-looking box, I don't know what treasures can be opened. Even the lowest level box should have a few bottles of life potion, right? Shannon rubbed her hands and was about to open it. But when his hand was about to touch the box, Shannon stopped again. With the African Emirates system I have always used, if I don't wash it, what if it opens up the air? Thinking about it, Shannon decisively squeezed Lugong's facial cleanser, and then hurriedly rushed into the bathroom. After a while, Shannon came out refreshed. This time he was full of confidence. Even if I only have 1 luck point, I'm so religious, at least give me something I can use. When the words fell, Shannon reached out and opened the treasure chest in front of him. The expected beam of light soared into the sky, and the scene where the clouds in a radius of 100 miles changed did not appear. Shannon patiently glanced at the treasure box. A book. When she saw that there was a book lying in the treasure chest, Shannon thought she had found some martial arts secret book or something, and almost jumped up. But the more he looked at the book in the treasure box, the more familiar he became, the less he looked like a martial arts secret book. Fuck! Isn't this Boss CAO's lesson preparation notes? Shannon went to Boss CAO's office a few times, and he asked some difficult chemistry questions, so he was familiar with the lesson preparation notes that Boss CAO kept by his side. After all, few people would post a few kawaii little lolitas on their lesson preparation notes. Looking at the little pink loli on the cover of the lesson preparation notes, Shannon fell into deep thought. So the system stole these lesson preparation notes from Boss CAO? Or was it copied in class? If this thing is discovered by Boss CAO, will he die? Or that he took the initiative to return it to him, saying that he found it on the side of the road? If you can't figure out how to deal with it, let's put it away first. And Chen thought, stretched out his hand and took out the lesson preparation notes. When the lesson preparation notes left the treasure box, the box began to fade and eventually disappeared. Seeing this scene, Shannon sighed. He opened the box with anticipation, and in the end, he got a lesson preparation notebook. This reward is 2, it's 2. Shannon suddenly froze a little while thinking about it. Because he discovered that this lesson preparation notebook actually has attributes. Equipment name, CAO's Hejiang's lesson preparation notes. Equipment level, gray and white. Equipment type, one-handed weapon. Equipment attribute, spirit +1. Equipment durability, 19/20. Explanation, the birthday gift that the youngest daughter gave to CAO's Hejiang is of great significance to CAO's Hejiang. If it is torn up in front of CAO's Hejiang, it will cause great harm to CAO's Hejiang, and it will be marked by CAO's Hejiang as the highest target of hatred. This explains why there are several pink loli stickers on the notebook. But Shannon didn't understand why a lesson preparation notebook was classified as a weapon, but one thing to say, its equipment attributes are indeed attractive. As long as this equipment is installed, Shannon's spiritual attribute can reach 9 o'clock, so the high school courses may not cause any difficulties for Shannon. The appearance of the equipment attribute made Shannon stop planning to return the lesson preparation notes. Before getting a new weapon, it is impossible for Shannon to take off this lesson preparation notebook. Thinking about it, Shannon has already equipped Cao's Hejiang's lesson preparation notes into his weapon bay. With a reduced version of the lesson preparation notes appearing in Shannon's equipment column, Shannon only felt that she could summon the notebook at any time. Although he saw that there was nothing in his hands, with the movement of Shannon's thoughts, the lesson preparation notes appeared in Shannon's hands. It seems that after putting on the equipment, it can be used at any time, which is also convenient. In addition, Shannon also felt that her mental outlook had also undergone new changes, her brain had become more flexible, and some memories that had been buried in the deepest part of her mind kept emerging. At the beginning of time travel, Shannon felt that this world was a parallel world of her original world. Now, through the comparison of a large number of memories in her mind, Shannon is certain of this. Many things that did not happen in the original world of Shannon happened here, and the same things that happened in the original world also did not happen here. Except for the people who Shannon knew did not change, many other things have changed obviously. In this unfamiliar timeline, even if Good Morning is systematically blessed, he must always be vigilant. After all, his current strength is not enough to fight the spear and cannon. Once someone discovers the existence of the system, it is easy to control it. After preparing Cao's Hejiang's lesson preparation notes, Shannon returned to the classroom and took the chemistry test paper to verify one thing. Before the teachers had a rest, Shannon found Cao's Hejiang, who had just finished eating and was bragging with other teachers in his seat. I don't know if it's because of his age, but Cao's Hejiang's position is the innermost part of the office, a proper leadership position. Seeing this, Shannon quickly walked to Cao's Hejiang, pretending to ask Cao's Hejiang for the answer details of the last big question in the chemistry test paper, while secretly observing Cao's Hejiang's desk. Soon, Shannon saw a familiar pink under the book beside the desk. Boss Cao's lesson preparation notes are still here. In this way, the equipment given by the system is just a replica. In this way, Shannon was relieved that the love of Boss Cao's young daughter was not taken away by him. After coping with Boss Cao's explanation, Shannon quickly returned to the classroom. When he was about to put the chemistry test paper on the desk, he found that there was a packet of cucumber-flavored potato chips on the desk. At this time, Liu Gang, who was next to him, said sourly, "Gao Tianjia brought this to you in the dormitory at noon, and asked me what flavor you like." Liu Gang has lived so big and has not been given snacks by the girls, so it is inevitable that he has some resentment. Shannon smiled lightly. It seemed that Gao Tianjia still remembered the small snacks she asked for in chemistry class. She was a girl who kept her promise. Gao Tianjia in front of him obviously heard Liu Gang's words, and his ears were a little red, but he pretended to lower his head and do his homework seriously. Morning didn't say much, and put the potato chips on the desk with a smile. There is an hour break during the noon lunch break. During this time, students can choose to take a nap for a while. UU Reading www.uugonshu.com can also choose to do a few more test papers and one volume of the classmates in the class. The only thing to pay attention to is to try not to make any noise. In the past, Morning Good and Liu Gang used to fall asleep at this time. As a result, Liu Gang was about to fall asleep when he saw Shannon took out an English book and began to look through it. Dry port, Omega Omega, and Pu, what are you doing, kid? You're not resting. Perhaps it was a little anxious, and Liu Gang's voice was a little more anxious. Morning looked at the book without looking back, and replied softly, "I think my English can be rescued a little bit, and I want to try to see if I can improve it a bit." Chen An's words were a bit euphemistic, mainly to take care of Lu Gang's feelings, so that he wouldn't be able to sleep at noon. But Lu Gang couldn't sleep after hearing Good Morning's words. After tossing and turning for a long time after lying down, an emotion called anxiety intensified in my heart. In the past, Good Morning's English gave him the bottom, and he was somewhat relaxed. But now seeing Chen An working so hard, Lu Gang couldn't calm down. "I'm so annoying. I can't sleep," Lu Gang muttered irritably. "If you can't sleep, take out the test paper and do a few questions, and go to bed early at night," Chen An replied. After listening to it, Lu Gang tried to take out his English textbook and read it. 5 minutes later. "Hey, hey." The sound of Lugong's even breathing came from Chen An's side. The hypnotic ability of English textbooks is as strong as ever. Chen An glanced at Lu Gang, put a napkin under his face, and then continued to read English books. "Not to mention, even my English books have gotten better after my spirits improved." Due to the improvement of mental strength, Morning and during the lunch break at noon is also in good spirits. Some old scroll kings quickly discovered the changes in Chen An. Seeing that Chen An was making up for the weakest English subject, several scroll kings secretly cheered. "Look, Morning An is already reading English, what reason do you have for not taking a test paper?" As a result, the masters who did not take a lunch break all the year round accelerated the pace of their studies, intentionally or unintentionally. In the past, the exam paper that could not be completed in one lunch break should also be tested today. Just like that, the 1 hour lunch break quickly passed. There are still 3 classes in the afternoon. The first class is everyone's favorite physical education class. The physical education teachers of Shank No. 1 Middle School are not as frail and sick as the physical education teachers of other schools, so physical education classes are generally carried out normally. Also, on rainy days, the physical education teacher's rheumatoid arthritis will fall ill, and even in severe cases, he will be hospitalized. Therefore, teachers from other disciplines will usually come to replace the class on rainy days. The weather is sunny today, which is a good day to let the wind out on the playground. When the bell for the lunch break ended, most of the classmates were awake, and only a few night owls were still asleep. Chen An put down his English textbook. During a lunch break, he recited nearly 100 English words, and those words seemed to be deeply imprinted in Chen An's mind. In the past, it's not that Good Morning didn't study English hard, but the English that she recited by self-study and recited in the second class will be forgotten about half of the time. This time, Chen An was very frustrated, and over time, her enthusiasm for English gradually disappeared. However, after the spiritual improvement, the English I memorized during the lunch break can still be remembered clearly. If she had this ability in the past, Chen An's English grades would not have been so bad. Putting the English book on the desk, Chen An reached out and patted Lu Gang's face. "Clap. Aberdeen, the teacher has come to search for your mobile phone." Lu Gang, who was snoring a second ago, stood up all of a sudden, and his sleepy little eyes looked around looking for the teacher. Chen An said, "How can there be a teacher?" Seeing that there was no teacher, Lu Gang immediately softened. And Chen looked at the saliva-stained tissue paper on Lu Gang's face, and pouted in disgust. "Don't look for the teacher first, wipe the saliva from your mouth, let's go to gym class," Chen An said and left his seat. At this time, Lu Gang realized that it was Chen An who was playing with him just now. "Enforced, stop for me." Lu Gang wiped the napkin off his face and chased after Chen An with the booming BGM. The two went down the teaching building chasing and fighting. Less than 100 meters away from the commissary is the school's playground. At this moment, students from several classes have gathered together in different areas. The others are sports students who have been training most of the time. Their goal is to go to the special enrollment quota for sports in various colleges and universities, which can greatly reduce the score requirements for their cultural courses, which is more useful than immersing themselves in studying. Shannon and Lu Gang came to the area where Class 37 was located. Most of the classmates were already present, and only a few exam papers were still stuck in the final time. "Brethren, why did you come here?" A boy named Lee Kaokan came to Shannon and said, "This is Shannon's good classmate other than Lu Gong." Shannon greeted Lee Kaokan. "It's too early to stand, so it's better to read more books in the classroom," Shannon said. Lee Kaokan was stunned when he heard this. He felt that there must be something wrong with Shannon. Otherwise, how could Shannon, who is more active in gym class than anyone else, say such a thing? "Brother Ang, don't scare me, I heard that more than 3 times a week will lead to Alzheimer's disease, you have to be more restrained," Lee Kaokan kindly advised. "Good morning." Why does Lee Kaokan's words feel strange? Did he understand something wrong? When Shannon was puzzled, Lee Kaokan came up again. "Today's physical education class is said to measure a 1,000 meter run. I don't know if I can pass it this time. Last time I passed it by 3 seconds. Hey, physical test," Shannon whispered to himself. In the 3rd grade of senior year, there is a physical test item. To be excellent in a 1,000 meter run, you need to run within 3 minutes and 30 seconds. To pass the run, you need 4 minutes and 30 seconds. In terms of standards, the parallel world is similar to the original world before Good Morning. The only difference is that the sports scores in this world are included in the total score of the college entrance examination. A total of 40 points for sports scores, including 10 points for 1,000 meters, 10 points for 50 meter sprint, 10 points for standing long jump, and 10 points for pull-ups. These points can be directly added to the college entrance examination score. Perhaps it is for this reason that physical education classes have their own place. Hearing that Lee Kaokan said he wanted a physical test, Lu Gang next to Shannon couldn't hold it any longer. "What are you doing? Why do you have to run another 1,000 meters? I vomited last time. Do I have to vomit again today?" Lu Gang had already put on a mask of pain. In fact, the 1,000 meter physical test is not an easy task for more than half of the boys in Class 37. Those who can be admitted to Shank No. 1 Middle School are students with certain learning ability. Most of them spend their time on learning, and generally do not participate in sports if they do not participate. Fortunately, both the school and the college entrance examination have requirements for students' physical education, so that the students will not become helpless scholars one by one. What's the fear of 1,000 meters? It only takes more than 3 minutes before and after, and you can survive for 4 minutes. You, a big man, can't last for 4 minutes. How can you marry a daughter-in-law in the future? Shannon said. Lu Gang stared at Shannon in a daze. He wondered if running 1,000 meters had anything to do with marrying a wife. Isn't getting a daughter-in-law based on looks and talent? Running for a long time has a fart? Seeing that Lu Gang didn't understand, reading www.yuyugonshu.com, Shannon didn't bother to explain, and children in the adult world didn't understand. Wait a minute, just follow me. I'll keep you out of the wind. You can run as many times as you can, so as not to get a zero score that is 10 points less than the average score of others. Shannon said. 1,000 meters is not too difficult for Shannon. After all, Shannon has been hanging around in various black internet cafes since the 6th grade of elementary school. Some black internet cafes are far away from Shannon's house. In order to save an extra hour of internet access, Shannon always walks there, so their physical fitness is not bad since childhood. This kind of black internet cafe life didn't officially end until the 2nd semester of junior high school when I bought a computer at home, but at this time, the physical strength of morning security has basically been determined. Although it is not up to the level of sports school students, it is still possible to get a perfect score in sports. The same is true for the current 1,000 meter run. With Shannon's current physical fitness, he was able to run in about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and the fastest time was 3 minutes and 15 seconds, but that time he was half exhausted. While the classmates were talking about the 1,000 meter run, the physical education teacher walked slowly to the playground with a timer. "Classmates, come and gather here." The physical education teacher clapped his hands to attract everyone's attention. The PE teacher in Good Morning's class looks strong. The weather is still a bit cold now, but the PE teacher is already wearing short sleeves. The sturdy arms exposed at the cuffs are thicker than the thighs of some boys. Just like a physical education teacher, who would dare to refuse once the class starts? Just when the physical education teacher signaled everyone to gather, Shannon heard the system prompt. "A copy that can be opened is detected, do you want to open it?" The sound of the system made Shannon stunned for a moment. Since the English class voluntarily gave up the dungeon and opened the system, there has been no sound in the system. Shannon thought that the system would have a oneta cooling time, but now it has appeared again. Shannon can't figure out the rules for the system to detect the open copy for the time being, but the current physical education copy can be tried. Before starting, Shannon took a look at the preview of the copy of the physical education class. Dungeon that can be opened, physical education class type of copy, micro-copy dungeon is expected to drop, basic attribute points, mini dungeon treasure chest, small dungeon treasure chest achievement points required to activate, 8 the reward is decent. Since the CAO's Hejiang's lesson preparation notes were opened in the miniature copy treasure box, Chen An's enthusiasm for the treasure box has been raised. The lowest level mini dungeon treasure chest can open equipment with a spirit +1, and the small dungeon treasure chest should be able to open better. But what makes Shannon speechless is that the opening of this dungeon seems to have seen his achievement point. Right now, I just have 8 achievement points, but it takes 8 points to open. Stuck properly on Good Morning's spit. Looking at the copy prompt still hanging on the system panel, Shannon thought about it and chose to open it. Creating copy. Copy is being created. The construction is complete, the microcopy physical education is loading. The main quest has been extracted. The side quest has been extracted. The copy has been opened, I wish you a happy copy. With the prompt of the system, main quests and side quests appear in the task bar. Main quest, pass the physical education teacher's assessment criteria, pass the test, get 60% of the dungeon reward, and get 100% of the dungeon reward for the excellent. Side quest, defeat as many monsters as LV3 and above on the playground as much as possible, and the reward for each dungeon settlement treasure chest will increase by 10% after the system was loaded. The names of monsters began to appear above the heads of teachers and classmates on the playground in the sight of Good Morning. LV1 Sports Week Chicken HP, 30/30 skill : Note, if you don't have the power to hold the chicken, even if you become a chicken, you can only be a weak chicken. This is the logo on the top of Lu Gang's head next to him. Obviously, he has become the most suitable low-level mobs to be hanged by Shannon. Look at other students. LV2 Sports Free Range Chicken HP, 50/50 skill : Note, weak chickens can improve the quality of chickens after running for a period of time and become free-range chickens. This is Lee Kaoken's monster logo not far away. His sports are indeed better than Logong. Looking at the morning's dialect, except for a few weak chickens, most of the mobs in the class are free-range chickens. It seems that the standard to become a free-range chicken is not high, and it is too unsatisfactory to be classified as a weak chicken. In addition to weak chickens and free-range chickens, Shannon also found other monster logos on the heads of several training sports students not far away. LV3 Sports Fighting Chicken HP, 100/100 skill : Note, free-range chickens that focus on training a certain aspect of ability evolve into combat chickens after long-term training. Combat chickens have absolute dominance in the field of special training compared to free-range chickens. This is the monster mark on the head of a sports student who is training sprinting closest to Good Morning. Apart from him, other high jump, and long distance runners also have the same monster marks on their heads. Obviously, they are the monsters above LV3 mentioned in the side quest. In addition to LV3's special sports enrollment, Chen also saw several special monsters. LV3 Sports Screaming Chicken, Special, HP, 70/70 Skill : Note, I adore those with outstanding sports ability. I have been in the 100 meter range of the sports fighting chicken all the year round, cheering for the wonderful performance of the sports fighting chicken, and over time, I have developed a unique screaming voice. This is the first time Chen has seen monsters marked with special characters. I don't know how capable these screaming chickens are. Will they be more difficult to deal with than sports fighting chickens? The above 4 are the 4 monsters that appeared in the students that morning and saw. These are all mobs, and the real boss is the physical education teacher in front of him. LV5 Sports Big Chicken, Leader, HP, 1500/1500 Skill : Note, the overlord of the physical education class, all chickens must obey the command of the big chicken bully. The title of physical education teacher made Chen lose the idea of fighting. This kind of boss is not something he can beat now. Besides, even with Chen's current attributes, he can't beat this sturdy physical education teacher in front of him. Unless he goes to the hospital to take oxygen out of him when he has rheumatoid arthritis, 2 good mornings are no match for a gym teacher. During the time when the copy was opened, the students in class 37 had already lined up according to the requirements of the physical education teacher. Students, today we will briefly test the 1,000 meter run. In order to save your physical strength, today's jogging is temporarily cancelled. Everyone spreads out to both sides using the middle row of students as the standard. Warn. Sports Big Jiba is commanding the queue. Please follow Big Jiba's prompts to make corresponding actions, otherwise you will suffer tons of damage from Big Jiba. Morning An's expression tightened. Good guy, let Shinobi go away when you come up. This copy of physical education class is more difficult to brush than expected. Thinking about it, Chen didn't dare to violate the orders of the sports giant, so www.yuuganshu.com began to slowly spread out with the classmates around him. When the entire class 37 dispersed, the sports tycoon opened his mouth again. Now, let's do some warm-up exercises with me. The first quarter, head movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Following the password of the sports giant, the classmates of class 37 all moved together. Chen accidentally took a beat slower than the rhythm of the sports tycoon because he was observing the surrounding classmates. Warn. Since you didn't keep up with the rhythm of Big Chicken Babe, the current HP 10 Good Morning was surprised. This is only 1 beat slower, and actually there is 10 points of blood less. If this is not a section, wouldn't it be cool on the spot? My dear, why is this dungeon so much stronger than the boot dungeon? Chen Xin was startled and hurried to keep up with the rhythm of the sports giant. Fortunately, the sports giant didn't mean to embarrass the classmates, and the warm-up exercise was quite rhythmic. Because this set of warm-up exercises is often done, as long as you pay attention to it, you will not fall off the beat, which makes Chen relieved. Until the end of the warm-up exercise, he did not suffer any more injuries from the sports giant. After the warm-up exercise, the sports giant started the theme of today's physical education class. The 1,000 meter test will begin next, with female students playing first. By the way, are there any female classmates who need to ask for leave? Let me know if you want to ask for leave. The sports tycoon said to the girls in the class. When Chen heard the words, she immediately looked at Gao Tianjia not far away. He remembered that today's Gao Tianjia should not be very convenient.